Alrighty guys, England versus Japan. A bit of a blowout game, not gonna lie. 52 points to 13. I sort of expected this one to be a little bit closer than it ended up being. I was expecting them both to guard it. We saw how close Japan got to New Zealand only a few weeks ago. Maybe I should have had a look at the Italy-Australia game. Looks like a good one. But as we always do in these review videos, guys, we will, of course, be going over the results that happened at halftime, going over the scores, the highlights, some stats, and some fun things like that. And then afterwards, checking out those full-time results. So make sure you guys drop down in the comments your thoughts on the game. And if you enjoy this style of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Alrighty, so into the first half then. So there was a change just before this game. Jack Nowell going out means Singer was going to come in on the right wing. I think he even said in the preview video that I actually think I would have had Singer actually starting due to his size, due to his power. I thought it actually might have been a better move for them. So a good start to the game, to be fair. We had quite open running rugby from Japan. It was nice to see they clearly wanted to run it. Not a lot of kicking from them in the first 5 minutes, trying to play out their own 22. It's a bit more exciting. We don't get to see it enough in rugby anymore. People just do their standard exits and stuff. So nice to see some running rugby. But it was England who got on the scoreboard first. Now, they did actually have a penalty a little bit further back, just by the sort of 40-metre area. And I thought they might have taken the 3 from here, as we saw last week against Argentina. Not taking those 3 points at the start of the game ended up potentially costing them the game by the end. England did go to corner. Japan dealt really well with the maul, actually managed to hold up and actually almost had a breakaway themselves, but they were brought back. There was a lovely charge down from the Japan centre, but Matsushima caught for being offside directly in the front of the post, and Farrell takes that one for an easy 3. We did keep going with some nice open running rugby from both teams, actually taking it in turns throughout that first 10 minutes, but the first try going to England from Freddie Stewart. Now, this was just against the head at the scrum. A big penalty came against Japan's put in. The England scrum in this first half looking extremely good. Really just looking dominant in all areas in terms of that scrummaging. Again, England go for the corner rather than the post, turning down the 3 points, but they did make this one count. They went for the maul. Japan stopped the maul, and England went for a nice little design set play, spreading it out wide. Freddie Stewart picking it up from that fullback position and goes in towards the corner. It was pretty easy, as you like, to be fair. Looked like it was straight off the training pitch. Good score for him, and Farrell converted that. So we're at 12 minutes in now. England go 10-0 up. That'll be pretty much the start they were hoping for. It was a good opening 20, to be fair, like I said already, that open running rugby, but there was a few handling errors coming in. We did see quite a few scrums. There were 5 scrums in this first half, so that's quite a lot considering, you know, it's quite a dry game. It didn't look like it was particularly wet out there. England turned down the post 3 times during that first opening 20. Now, one of them did, of course, get converted into a try further on, so fair enough, but there was 2 other kicks they could have had there. They could have potentially taken that scoreboard out by a further 6. The scrummaging looking pretty good, but the lineouts potentially looking a little bit wobbly. Didn't stop England, though. They did get another try, the 24th minute. Marcus Smith. The England attack looked like it was slowing down after that 20-minute mark. It looked like they'd lost a lot of their shape, a lot of their aggression to go forwards. They were just sort of trying to see who can make some ground. But there was a huge counter-attack coming in from Freddie Stewart, picking it up from a Japan kick, managing to run further down the field. But Portley holding his line just on his right-hand side. He pops it off, makes a huge amount of ground himself, pops it off to Singer, who I thought is just in for a try if it wasn't for a superb tackle from Yamasawa, getting across, managing to stop him. But Marcus Smith managed to pick up the ball and dives in for the corner. Again, successfully converted by Farrell. Farrell's kicking this first half looking extremely good. It was a really difficult kick right from the touchline. So England go 17-0 up, and it's not until the half-hour marker Japan actually get some go forward. They're actually making a bit of ground now. They get themselves on the scoreboard. It actually came off the back of another poor England line out. Japan managed to get the steal on it. They went for the attack. They went right up to the line. I thought they potentially could have scored directly under the post, but the England defence did manage to hold up. But Portley got blew up for being offside just as they went for that dive. So Japan got themselves a nice little 3 points there. Taking the 3 points, they were already 17 points down. Maybe you would think they could have gone for the corner, tried to get that line out working. The scrum probably wasn't an option, but 3 points, better safe than sorry. Japan nearly doubled down on this one. Just a few minutes later, a huge break coming in from Michael Leach. Again, another England mistake just on the live field. We saw Michael Leach run through that England line from a strip ball. They chased the kick on, coming from Riley, making some good ground. Japan kicked the ball on. Riley actually ran around the outside of Johnny May. It's a hard thing to do to outrun Johnny May, who's been playing well up to now in this game with some of his chase kicks. But Johnny May did manage to recover, got back for the tackle on Riley, but unfortunately didn't release the player in time, just pinned him on the ground, stopped him getting that offload away to Matsushima. But again, Matsushima not having the best first half for him, a couple of drop balls from him, a couple of offsides along the way, but it was Johnny May that got pinged for not releasing that player. Ref gave it a cynical yellow card going to Johnny May. So another penalty coming in from Yawasawa there, getting his total up to 6 points. Again, man down, potentially the opportunity to try and make some more points. They decided not to go for it. Japan got another penalty in the 37th minute. England off feet at the breakdown, but Japan missed the touchline. It ended up being a really costly missed kick for them. They ended up, England going back on the attack, putting real pressure on, big chase kicks coming in from the likes of Freddie Stewart, Tom Curry just getting in there, trying to rip the ball off people absolutely constantly, pushing Japan further and further and further back. And in the space of about 2 minutes, we see Japan lose 80 metres up the field from where that kick should have gone out. And again, this just got worse for them as we see Porter going over his try on the halftime marker. Japan looking second best when it comes to that aerial combat. And like I said, Tom Curry just gets over whoever has the ball, ripping that ball out. England spread the ball wide. It did look like Sam Simmons was just going to desperately try and go this on the own. Eventually did give that pass up to Porter, who went in. And again, another successful conversion from Farrell. So 24-6 at half-time. Looks like a convincing lead, and I would say a convincing half from England, to be fair, dominating in the right areas. In terms of half-time notes, I said that England are looking better than last week. A lot of different improvements for them. The scrummaging looks dominant. They are just winning every scrum. They won all of their own scrums. They won one against the head for Japan there. England line-out looking a little bit wobbly, though. It's one of the only set area that was not really going their way. A couple of missed throws. They had one stolen. They had, even the ones they managed to recover, looked a little bit wobbly at times. The England attack looks good when the ball is kept in hand, but there was a couple of times this game, they've obviously noticed in pre-game that they were going to go for some of these kicks over the top, kicks through, Japan's line speed looking good, but a number of the kicks feeling a little bit pointless. We just want to see that improve in the second half. The Japan counter-attack looking really good. Looks like they can score a try from pretty much anywhere, but just not having enough time on the ball, not supporting their own men at the breakdown to give them the opportunity to go for the try. Looks like they're desperately trying to snatch tries as opposed to building one themselves. Some interesting stats then. Scrums, like I said, 3 from 3 for England, 2 from 3 for Japan, but even some of those looked a little bit wobbly. Penalties, 4 to 5 was the stats that we had down here. Really felt like Japan giving away more penalties, but it was after the Johnny May yellow card we saw England beginning to get a little bit wobbly in terms of penalties. And like I said, lineouts, interesting stat here. Lineouts 6 from 8 for England so far, 1-1 to Japan. So although England looking dominant, still a couple of areas to fix in the second half. So after struggling in that first half, of course, we wanted to see Japan maybe get off to a really good start. They wanted to have a good opening 10 minutes in the second half, and it just didn't really go that way. They did have the opportunity for a penalty shortly after halftime. They had swapped over their fly half. Johnny Hill got on a high tackle penalty just 2 minutes into the second half. They went for the 3 points, but Lee, who took over the kicking duties, did miss. Now, the next sort of 5 minutes, unfortunately, just sort of deteriorated for Japan. Johnny May came back on, so England back up to full strength. Had a net gain during the yellow card of 4 points. That's, something you want to be seeing as a coach. But England got 2 tries on the bounce up to that 50-minute marker. One coming off the back of a big jackal penalty from Tom Curry. They went for the kick to the corner rather than the post again. We saw this consistently throughout this game. 3 phases from England, and just Ellis Genge on a crash ball going to get over that line. And then they doubled down shortly after when Porter goes over for his second try of the game. A huge counter ruck coming in from a Toje, just picking the correct man, drove back over, the ball gets stealed, and England go on the breakaway. The ball was kicked on, and Porter just winning the foot race there. So 10 minutes into that second half, that scoreboard looking 38 to England, 6 to Japan, looking a bit punishing for them. Japan did manage to get a couple of scores back, which is nice, off the back of one of their penalties. They actually won a penalty at the scrum against the head of England, probably the first scrum that really went wrong. England replacements came on in the second half quite early, and I actually think areas got worse for England. The scrummaging looked like it had gone downhill. Defensively, it looked like it had gone downhill in certain areas as well, but they did manage to win the penalty there. They went for that kick to corner. The 5-metre maul got stopped by England. We had to go 12 phases, but eventually Saito does go over for the ball after it sort of bobbled out the back of a ruck, ripped by England backwards, and we saw Japan get on the back of that and get over for the score. Was converted by Lee. So a 25-point game at the 60-minute marker. Not as close as Japan would probably want. Luck for Japan, unfortunately, didn't get any better for them. Even though England's defence was beginning to open up, we saw a few more missed tackles coming in from the Vunipola brothers, both missing tackles in this game, actually beginning to get a little bit worse. But England attack pressure just not letting up in this game. Eventually, England worked their way back up into the Japan 5-metre line. They had a penalty. They kicked the ball for that 5-metre maul. Japan tried to defend that maul. It went over the try line, but it was considered that Fifita came in from the side. He got his yellow card, and they went for the penalty try as well. Now, I've already said it a couple of times on this channel, I'm not a big fan of this yellow card and penalty try rule. I really feel like you should either give a yellow card or a penalty try. The double whammy feels a bit unnecessary. And if it is just the way of the rugby now, just an unnecessary thing to do, you might as well just let the try go over. I would maybe like to see them change that rule and be either a yellow card and another penalty and you can go on to try and do another maul, or you get a penalty try and we go back and you sort of go on a warning. I feel like it's a bit doubly harsh for teams, especially if they're struggling in an area like in the maul, like in the scrum. It's really hard to sort of somehow bounce back from that. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of the double down rule. And then this tsunami just keeps on going. Marcus Smith gets his try. Actually began from him on a crossfield kick going over to Slade. They tried to have a little bit of a break. Slade kicks the ball back inside. They're both chasing after it, but it was Marcus Smith who recovers that secondary chase and goes over for the try. Farrell getting the conversion there as well, bringing that score to the final score of 52 points to 13, and it wasn't even the end of the game. England actually had two more try scoring opportunities. One was a little grubber kick through from Slade. Johnny May couldn't get on the end of it, and another one that was right on a crash ball from Henry Slade but dropped the ball on the impact. So neither of those two going over the final score, 52-13. It feels like I've had to run over a lot of actually what Japan did quite well in this game. It was just that they really struggled to get a foothold in this game, try and get some points on the bounce. It was sort of getting trickles here and there. They had good sections of attack, but just let down by dropping of the ball or not quite getting it organised enough. England, for the majority of this game, looking pretty convincing. What do they score in the end? 7 tries. That's a lot of tries, especially against a team that came pretty close to New Zealand only a fortnight to go. So they'll be pretty happy with their performance. In terms of some final notes then, Freddie Stewart got man of the match. I can see why. I think his high ball coverage I thought was doing really well for England. It helped them gain a lot of net meters. I also think Ellis Genge did really well in this game. It was nice to see him disciplinary-wise. Very few penalties coming from him today. I don't even think he gave away a penalty, in fact. Scrummaging looked really good. Aggressive in defence, flying off that line, getting huge tackles in, but without being offside. I thought he had a good game as well. I said England much better from this game. Need more consistency once the subs come on. They definitely felt like it wavered off a little bit in defensive style once those subs came on, so they'll want to look at that before the next game. The scrum looks good. The penalty count kept down as well. One of the big things, big negative for England last week was the Argentinian game, with how many penalties England were giving away. This game kept that penalty count down, and overall just a hard game for Japan. Unfortunately, played well, but just struggling to get a grasp and take charge of this game. The final stats then, England 4 of 5 scrums. Like I said, that one scrum going wrong for them. Japan doing well after the England subs came on. Not what you want to be seeing. Japan scrums 4 from 6. Turnover stats. 13 turnovers to England, 7 from Japan. I will put a quick mention in here. I got these from online because Amazon don't really do the best coverage in terms of the stats after the game. Penalties, 6 for England, 9 for Japan. So that penalty count kept down really nicely. But the lineouts, 14 successful, 2 officially lost for England. But I think of those 14, there were still 3 or 4 that looked like they could have gone potentially worse, and 3 of 3 for Japan. So overall, a really good game from England. They'll be really impressed with the pickup that they've had from last week's game. But next week, going to be a really big game for them. But of course, guys, drop down in the comment section your thoughts on the game. I always enjoy having a read through them. And we will, of course, be checking out the world rankings on Monday. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel to keep up to date with that. I hope you all enjoyed this one today, guys. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.